Hello and welcome to the 32nd unit of this course in Global English. We are in writing module and we have looked at some different types of writing that managers, scientists, researchers have to do. In unit 11 of the writing module, we are going to look at some ways of writing notes on plans, figures, charts, graphs, rather than only tables and bar diagrams and pie charts that managers have to read and write about. You see, it's a part of a manager's business, okay? Because graphs, charts, plans, diagrams save a lot of space. They say a lot in a limited 1 A4 size paper can contain tables, graphs, charts, writing of which in words might take pages after pages. So, this kind of communication brings precision in communication and it goes places regardless of how good one may or may not be at language. One can understand a graph, a chart, a plan, a diagram as well as anybody else. That comprehension does not depend upon words. So, in a way, many people call it visual communication of quantitative data, numerical data, and that is why graphs are very popular. Sometimes, of course, you have to write notes, and you have to highlight those aspects which can be seen but have not been said in these writes. So, that is why it is said that a number of managers, actually a large number of managers, researchers, scientists, academicians spend more time reading notes from others and writing notes to others than they spend on anything else, more than even phone calls, more than even their own communication. They spend time on reading notes from others, writing notes to others, which involve these graphs, charts, etc., etc. But highlighting the relevant points out of these graphs, charts is an art. Otherwise, you can get lost or caught in trivial details. So, you must learn the art of highlighting those relevant details and ignoring other things. They are anyway there in the chart. Okay? Let us see. Here is a graph. For the sake of example, we took an ordinary graph showing sex ratio at birth in India for 20 years from 1999 to 2019. Okay? It will help you to write better. Actually, it will help you write better if you ask yourself these questions even as you look at the graph. What are those questions? What do I see in all? General, in one glance I can say I am looking at the sex ratio at birth in India for the 20 years from 1999 to 2019. Okay? So, this is what I see and this is what I hope you see too. Okay? How is it presented? Well, it is presented as a graph and it has two axes. On the x axis, we have numbers of girls born in a gradient of 5 beginning at 8:55 and finishing at 9:15. On the y axis, years have been given at the interval of a year. So, we begin at 1999 and go on until 2019. Okay? You must also state these things as you write. Let us move. Uh, what parts of the form are notable? Take a look, see where it dips, where it falls, where it rises, where it plateaus, where it is steady, where there is a steep rise and then gradual rise, where there is steep fall and gradual fall, and where there is peak. You must take these rise and falls, punctuations, etc. Sorry, fluctuations, not punctuation, fluctuations, etc. in account for a good report. And what is seen at once and what is seen but not said. Like why these fluctuations are there, we do not know. What does the graph overall say? In 20 years data, it shows something which is not stated here, but which is obvious. So, those are the conclusions one can draw looking at this graph. Let us go on. You can write your own note, for a change. I have not given you my notes. I have left the slide blank for you. You can write your own notes in the light of whatever you have given, whatever I have given, or you can take other questions, more questions and write. But remember, usually these notes should not increase, should be within about 150 words. You can take a few more or less, but do not exceed 200 and do not write fewer than 150. Experience shows, many teachers say that if you write fewer than 150 on this kind of graph, then you are leaving something out, and if you write more than 200, then it is highly likely that you are including material which are either not there or you are repeating yourself. Okay? So, check, do as many drafts as you like, and finally, when you are ready with your final draft, check with the final draft I have given for the sake of comparison at slide number 16 down below. Let us move further. Well, we spoke about prepositions in the earlier unit, and we said prepositions have a very simple function. They connect nouns. Okay? They connect nouns with verbs, and because they play an important role, which verb can go with which noun or which noun can go with which other noun. So, there are some fixed limitations, but generally speaking, apart from some fixed usage of some prepositions, there are no rules that X is written in all situations of Y. You cannot say that. It is always to when you talk to destination, or it is only to when you talk about destination. No, to is one of the choices for destination, but there are others. You can say I am going to Delhi. You can also say I am going to be in Delhi. You can say I am going up to Delhi. You can say I am going. So, depending upon context, many other possibilities are there, and prepositions express the writer's intent, the nuances of meaning, the subtle things much more definitely than other aspects of any language. Actually, prepositions can also help you make new words out of existing words, so that even if you have a limited vocabulary, it really does not handicap you. So, these are the basic groups, maybe a few more or less, but in all cases of doubt, whenever you are in doubt whether I should use above or over, under or below, within or without, among or between, etc., it is best to look up dictionary for usage. So, what we have given you here is tentative, not exhaustive, just to tell you how different prepositions can belong to how the same prepositions can belong to different categories, and how different prepositions can belong to the same category. Sometimes it can be bewildering, but with practice you see the pattern in this madness. Okay, let's go. Okay, so there may be confusion between above and over, below and under, for and since, among and between, by and with, of and for, etc., etc. Okay, so some pairs can be confusing. Even for some of these pairs, there are rules. Say, for example, when you have a choice between for, from, and since, it's pretty clear. Concerning time, you can say, Bob is on leave for a week. You cannot say Bob is on leave from a week, Bob is on leave since a week. No, that is incorrect. English says when you talk about a period of time, then say use for before it. Bob is on leave for a week, Bob has worked for a year, Bob has been working for, you can say that. From a particular point of time, Bob is on leave from 1st July to the 7th of July. Since, if you are talking from the past until now and use from time, say for example, Bob has been on leave since 1st July. Suppose someone asks you on the 15th of July, when did Bob go on leave? How long has Bob been on leave? You can say Bob has been on leave since the 1st of July. Okay. So, for the use of some prepositions, the rules are pretty clear. Okay. Some others is a matter of nuance, matter of usage, what is it exactly you want to say, and even if you use one in place another, it might become inappropriate, but it not terribly wrong. The best is in such circumstances to look up a dictionary or to use a book of usage. We have also given some examples in the resource pool. We are connecting with this course. Prepositions also help you, that is why it is good for you to look up dictionary now and then, wherever you have doubt or whenever you are stuck. Okay, then you can get new words out of them. Say for example, a lot of common verbs which we use frequently, they are part of the first 500 words or 5,000 words, first 1,500 words actually you learn. So verbs like give, break, take, come, etc. Okay. Verbs like ask, go, keep, live, make, pass, see, wait, look, and added, followed by prepositions. They give you lots of new words. Say for example, take a verb like give. When you say give in, it means you are surrendering, you are now submitting, you can no longer withstand the pressure, you are giving in under pressure. Okay. The government did not want to do this, but under pressure from students, the government gave in and agreed not to revise the train fares or bus rates. Okay. So give up, something you have been doing, maybe good or bad, and you stop doing that. So for example, a lot of ads might say it is not difficult to give up smoking, okay. That is, you have been smoking, but now you can stop. So that means giving up. Give away, you owned something, you kept it for yourself, but now you give it to somebody else, then you have. So one give with 3 prepositions can give you 3 different words. There can be more. Similarly, break up, you and your friend were doing very well, but you had some misunderstanding and you break up with your friends. Okay. A break off, okay. You are part of a crowd doing something, a team, and for you want to go away, leaving them. So then you say you are not completely breaking up, but you are breaking off for some time, you are going away. Or break into, you are not allowed into a particular room, in a particular committee, into a particular place, but if you force yourself in, you can say break into, or break from, etc. You can go on. Take off, flights take off. Take up, you take the responsibility that I will do it now, so you are taking it up. Take away, you buy something but don't eat it there, you take it away to your home. So there are many restaurants which are called takeaway. They cook food, they prepare food, but they have no tables on which to serve you. So what they do is they give you packed food, you can take them away to your home and eat peacefully there. Of course you pay less, they charge you less. So these takeaway restaurants are also very popular, particularly among students and workers. Okay. So take two, when you imitate somebody or follow somebody or emulate somebody, or take for when, or mistake for, etc. Or take two, you pick up a new habit. Okay. So you seems to be taking to computers or to photography or to selfies, etc. Okay. Similarly, you can make words out of come in, come on, come off, come up, come by. Okay. Right. Look up a dictionary for their meanings, and look up a dictionary also for many other frequent words, verbs in particular, which followed by prepositions give you new words. Say verbs like ask, you can say ask for, that means you are searching for, you are looking for, you want to meet somebody. I went to the hospital and asked for Dr. Smith. Okay. Then you can have ask about, you can have go for, when you want to, you are determined, you must find or and kill that villain, so you go for that villain. Okay. Dogs have been made to go for thieves, or keep up, or live in. Lots of people these days, lots of couples these days do not marry, they stay in live-in relationship. That means you share everything, mental, physical, property, space, but you live like friends. You are free to leave anytime you like. You don't have to go through the hustle of divorce, etc. Okay. So you have make up, what is missing you can make up. So you can say pass, pass away, pass on. Pass on, say for example at the dining table you can say pass the salt please, or pass on the salt please, or pass on this baton please in a relay race. But pass away is another thing, pass out is another thing. Look up dictionary and similarly wait and look, etc., etc. There should be a comma here. Wait, look. Okay. You can also have prepositions followed by other words, nouns, adjectives, pronouns, also sometimes verbs perhaps. Okay. So you can have at all, at best, at least, at loss or at a loss, at sea, which means to be confused, not to know what to do, is like being at sea. At most, at par, at rest. Then you can have with words with by, or phrases with by. Similarly, you can make other words with the help of prepositions. Your prepositions plus nouns, verbs, as I have been saying, and there are a number of other verbs, other words which which have become one word, like forbid, forgo, forget, forgive, forsake, for sure. Okay. But you can still have phrases, inroad, when you encroach upon, when you perforce enter somebody's territory, or inbuilt, when these days electronic items give you some inbuilt things, or inside story. It is a story, but not written by an outsider. It has come from within the group. Okay. So, in place of receive, you can also say intake. There are many other examples, with reading and then when you write. Okay. In the earlier unit, we also spoke about discourse markers and we gave you some examples, and we expected you to mark discourse markers in those examples. And if you did that and you wish to compare your work, then they are here. All examples of discourse markers have been highlighted. You can compare your work, or you can go to the earlier unit, look at the discourse markers there, compare, highlight them, and then compare with the model we have given you here, and that will help you use these discourse markers better and connect sentences, okay, in a more cohesive, in a more coherent manner. Okay. Lots of examples, take a look. Similarly, we mentioned fog index the other day. Okay. What is fog index? So, we defined fog index as the following: just as drivers, because of the fog, cannot see the road clearly, the readers can also be blinded by too much jargon and too many technical terms. So, even while writing notes on graphs, charts, plans, diagrams, try and see if you can write them using plain language. If you can, that will be wonderful. Sometimes it is not possible. Sometimes you have to use technical terms. Fine, then do it. But if you can find common words, simple words to say the same thing, then not only your intended reader, your other readers can also, not only other readers, even your intended readers read, understand and retain your writing in their mind better and longer. And as I said earlier, a lot of people these days, there are computer algorithms, computer softwares that detect fog index, and if it is higher than a certain level, then the writer is not considered a good writer. If it is below a certain level, then it is considered all right. After all, no professional writing can be without some technical terms and some jargon. Here is an example. Okay. All these underlined words and jargon highlight words that are either uncommon or they are jargon. All these underlined words are jargon. Look at these things. Ratio scale, prioritization technique. It could be said, ordering first, next, last. Okay. But in this paper, the author uses the term prioritization. Similarly, measurement scale, ratio scale. Sometimes it is possibly it is unavoidable, but before we reach that conclusion, let us try and see if it is not possible for a writer to use a simpler and more common word. Otherwise, the fog index rises, and higher the fog, the worse the writing. Lower the fog, the better the writing, the clearer the writing. That is the principle. Okay. Here is the note we had. As you can see, obviously there are lots of unnecessary repetitions of numbers, and the same thing per thousand, really not required. Second draft maybe is a little better, some greater clarity, but we still have more words than we really need or we can have. So, finally, it is something like this which gives you the patterns. The present graph offers a view of sex ratio at birth in India. So, in one look this is what we see for 20 years 1999 to 2019, the first sentence. In the first sentence you see what you see. On the x axis, then how is it How has this graph been constructed? On the x-axis, the graph gives numbers of girls born per 1000 on a gradient of 5 each, beginning at 855 and going up to 915. On the y-axis, it is a gradient of 10 during years 1999 2019. The graph shows that mostly 100 girls fewer have been born for every 1000 boys. So, coming back, if I had a space, I could have given some more space between the paragraph break, but the paragraph break is very good. We will talk about it in the earlier unit, why we should have not too many lines in one paragraph, why we should have 5, 6, 7 line paragraphs is not only easy on eyes, it also thematically all right. We will talk about that in perhaps the next unit. So, in 1999, just under 900 girls were born, but numbers once again began picking up in 2004 when 120 fewer girls per 1000 boys were born. From that low, from the low of 2004, so we have said from this deep trough, in graphs it is possible. Let's go back and let's see. This is what is called trough, the lowest point of the graph. Here is almost a plateau, almost level. So, this is a plateau. Here once again is a trough, but the highest point of the graph is called the peak. So, this is a peak, maybe this is a peak. Okay. This is of course the starting point, and this is also the finishing point. So, when talking about writing a note on the graph, you can bring your reader's attention, you can draw your reader's attention to these things. Is there anything explicitly shown or implicitly seen in the trough or in the peak or in another trough or valley or plateau, because it is not so sudden and steep. Some people may also call it a valley, just as it may be called a plateau here. So, the vocabulary is borrowed from the geography of hills and mountains, but the idea is that there are times when numbers fall, there are times when numbers rise, and there are times when numbers go for you to compare with. Okay? Thank you.